I know that you don't run the NFL media newsroom, but you do run the NFL, and they answer to you along with the 32 owners. As of this press conference, the NFL media newsroom still employs 0 black managers, 0 black copy editors, 0 full-time black employees on the news desk, and your only full-time black employee, Larry Campbell, passed away over the weekend. Now, Mr. Trotter, Jim Trotter, was not here, for whatever reason. Over the last few years, have asked you why that is the case. And for a league that has more than 60% African Americans that play the game, and I know that you're a man of conscience, how does knowing this sit well with you, and after 2 years of being asked this question, why has it not been any change or any hirings in that area?
This is Darren Smith, a sports radio host covering the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri. He picked up the torch from Jim Trotter, who grilled NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in years past.
You and other league officials have said that the league's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion extend beyond the sidelines and beyond the front offices and is applied to all aspects of the company. I've worked in NFL media for 5 years. During those 5 years, we have never had a black person in senior management in our newsroom. That's a problem because we cover a league who, according to league data, the player population is 60 to 70% black, which means that there is no one who looks like these players at the table when decisions are being made about how they are covered. More concerning is that for a year plus now, we have never had a full-time black employee on the news desk, which again is a problem because we cover a league whose player population is 60 to 70% black according to league data. I asked you about these things last year, and what you told me is that the league had fallen short and you were going to review all of your policies and practices to try and improve this. And yet a year later, nothing has changed. You know, James Baldwin once said that I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And so I would ask you as an employee, when are we in the newsroom going to have a black person in senior management, and when will we have a full-time black employee on the news desk?
Well, Jim, I am not in charge of the newsroom, so I think can I answer your question? As you point out, it's the same question you asked last year.
And as we know, Trotter's contract was not renewed for reasons that are being brought up in the form of a lawsuit. The prior year, Trotter questioned Goodell again.
Hey, Roger, Jim Trotter. The question is more for the owners, but also for you. And since they're not here, I'll ask you, as I always say. In your initial statement, the league's initial statement, it said that diversity, equity, and inclusion were core principles of the NFL. And I need to provide some context before I can ask you about that statement. In the 100-plus year history of this league, 24 of 32 franchises have either had one black head coach or no black head coaches. And to make sure I get the names right, I'll read them off here. We've got the Bills, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Rams, the Ravens, the Saints, the Seahawks, the Titans, who have never had a black head coach. That's nearly half the league. We look at the fact that there's never been a majority black owner. There's only been one black club president. We look at the GMs, now we're up to 7. 5 of those were hired in the last 12 months. We're now at 3 black head coaches, 2 of whom were hired after Brian Flores filed his lawsuit. So it's easy to focus on the owners here, but I want to put this to you here.
And he hardly got an answer. What makes this year's annual press conference at the Super Bowl quite gross is a few different factors. The first is, not only was it on a Monday prior to many media outlets arriving in Las Vegas, it was at the same time as the Chiefs and then the Niners players were made available to the media. And on top of that, the league took it not 1, but I'd say 20 steps further. They decided to make it an invite-only affair, meaning regular old media members are not allowed to attend and ask Roger Goodell questions about the NFL, which is quite puzzling. It seems there is a cause and effect here from years past and how the NFL is now treating a media session that is private, it almost feels. And one person who came out against Goodell, who has kind of shown to be affectionate with him from a media perspective, is longtime writer Peter King. And he put in his column this, which was pretty surprising. I think the whole thing is a bad look for Roger Goodell, very bad. Either he's got thinner skin than he likes people to think he has, or he's afraid of answering tough questions about how far the league's gotten into bed with sports betting interest after saying it for years. Legalized sports gambling would be a pox on the NFL. It's a pox until you can make billions on it. If you cover the league, it's great to be able to have the occasional back and forth with the commissioner. What's the worst thing that can happen in a 1 hour all-comers press conference? Some media person goes on a harangue about some issue that's not very important. So what? Give the people who spend their lives writing and reporting and commentating on the biggest sport in America an hour once a year to ask anything and everything. Tell me, what's so dangerous about that? Well, I'll tell you, Peter. I think what's dangerous about it from the business of the NFL, which is the largest, if not the most successful sports league in the world, is that any answer that Roger Goodell gives on any of the matter that they thought they would not get, and that's why it's big kudos and shout out to Darren Smith, it could be used in a court of law against the National Football League. They are currently in litigation against one of their former employees. What could happen from a business perspective is someone asks a question, Roger Goodell, even though he literally never does, has a flub, and then they use it against the National Football League. Could mean and cost Roger Goodell his job. Now, is that the correct way to go about it? No, because what it looks like is you tuck your tail and you're running scared and you look like a big bee. You look like a bee. That's what it is. Roger Goodell got slapped around by Jim Trotter, rightfully so, in the form of questions, a verbal slap. I wouldn't even say slap, accountability. And he didn't have an answer. He didn't have an answer again and again and again. And those were the only tough questions that he really received. The rest was, oh, well, congrats on your success. How about Brazil? If you are getting paid, as Michael Bennett, former NFL DN, likes to put it, the highest paid employee in the NFL, aside from the owners, of course, because they're not the employees, the highest paid employee is Roger Goodell. He's the highest paid man. I agree with Peter King. If you can't stand up there and take the heat like you did against Rachel Nichols with the Ray Rice fiasco and how you botch that, this feels low. It feels closed off and it feels low. The biggest problem is the fans don't care. No one cares. It's not like anyone's going to stop watching. It's just porous business practices from the National Football League and Roger Goodell. The Boston Globe's Tara Sullivan weighed in as well. Roger Goodell's annual exercise in performative transparency has always been part press conference, part joke. The NFL commissioner has taken it to a new low this year, however, moving the event up to Monday afternoon and making it invite only. Alterations that show just how much he wants to avoid facing difficult questions. Meanwhile, Trotter would tweet some of this. And here are those tweets. This was sent to me. NFL commissioners and Goodell simply doesn't care, doesn't want to know. The data is what it is. The NFL newsroom has 0 black managers, 0 black copy editors, and 0 full-time black employees on the news desk. Those are facts. Nothing he says changes that. Another fact NFL commish refuses to acknowledge. Outside of the reporters in the NFL newsroom, there are 0 full-time black employees. In a league whose player population is majority black, let that marinate for a minute. From WBZ's Michael Hurley once more, which is an affiliate of CBS. It would be difficult to look at this massive change and not see it as a direct response to Jim Trotter asking Goodell about a lack of diversity in NFL Network's leadership positions for 2 consecutive years. Last year, Trotter quoted James Baldwin while telling Goodell, "I can't believe what you say because I see what you do." Goodell responded in a slightly combative fashion, disagreeing with Trotter's data and shirking responsibility for the matter. And he's doing it yet again. If there's any story that we missed or any story that you would like to submit, get at me. I will throw up the graphic here. Get at me on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Send me a message. Send me a DM. And again, there are only so many hours in a day. There could be stuff that we missed or even on the local level that you want us to cover. Get at us, submit it to us. We'll take a look. Appreciate you watching. Have a good day.